Hello and welcome to Viral Beast. My name is David and today I'll be going through some of the best stories from Reddit. I'll be posting 3 times a week, so hit that like, subscribe and comment below. So without further ado, let's get into our first story. Okay, our first story is private property, not to this Karen. This is episode 1.1. Let's get into it. I'm a volunteer search and rescue canine handler, and my dogs are pit bulls. I've been in SIR for 11 years now, and never really had much of an issue. Every once in a while, we come across someone who doesn't understand what we do. Still, after a few minutes of explaining it, people change their attitudes and even get excited because we allow them to see what we are doing. Yesterday, I was working my younger dog, who is almost ready to certify, still has some minor issues we are training him on. We are working 20 acres of private property out of the 600 acres available to use. My dog is off leash, has 3 collars on him, and is searching wonderfully. I'm watching my dog, and I can tell he has human scent. There is apparent body behaviour you can see when a dog is in scent versus not in scent. He's working around a large woodpile around 100 yards from me when he takes off over the ridgeline. A few minutes later, he comes back and jumps on me, which is how he tells me he has found someone. I start to follow him when I hear a lady yelling. By this time, my dog has come back and told me he has also found someone. Still, running behind my dog, I come around a corner, and there's Karen in all her glory, swinging a hiking pole at my dog. I give my dog tons of praise. I mean, here is a lady screaming at him, and waving a scary pole in his face, and he didn't even care at all. He did his job very well. That's what I want to see in my dogs. So here's how the story went. How dare you let your dog off the leash? Sorry ma'am, I'm a search and rescue and we have permission to train our dogs off leash. No. No dogs are allowed off leash. Your dog is dangerous. Ma'am, you're on private property. My dog is training to find missing people. Karen then whips out her phone and starts recording me. You think this behaviour is acceptable? Yes, that is his job. I demand to speak to your supervisor. How my team works are, we have senior members. We technically have one person in charge of the team, but we are considered supervisors and in control of everything. We have full rights to speak on behalf of the group, dismiss people for dangerous behaviour, make decisions, etc. So I replied, I am the supervisor. There is someone above you. Actually, no there isn't. I'm sorry you're upset, but what has happened is what my dog is supposed to do. You should ask people before you let your dog run up to them. You're trespassing on private property. You shouldn't be here. What is your name? So I am so lost again. Your last name. You don't need that. Karen then turns to the 2 men with me and takes photos of them and my dog, who's still off leash, playing with his pink pig and lying in the snow. Do you approve of this? What are your names? Both guys shrugged and said, she is the one in charge. Then, Karen huffed off, yelling, and my dog got back to work to find the guy that was hidden 20 feet away from where this whole thing took place. Later, she ran into the rest of the senior members and had words about my dog, which charged her, acted very aggressively, and how I gave him treats for this behaviour. They also tried to explain it to her, and she told them to hush. And there was obviously something wrong with everyone on our team. Just to add, our dogs don't wear vests while working because we have tons of underbush, and some of our dogs have gotten seriously hurt wearing vests. We only use them on roadways or during firearms deer season. Okay, that's the end of 1.1. Moving on to 1.2, it's Karen gets aggressive and gets arrested. Let's see what happens. So, I work for a company that sells backup power sources for both residential and commercial customers. My job is to go into big box stores and set up displays and represent my company while trying to get potential leads. I am not an employee of any of these stores, but I technically work there when my show is there. Now that you know what I do, here's the story. A few months back, about 3 months into COVID-19 pandemic, I came to a store where I was working in that particular week. Now, I usually go in through the back, but the back door was closed and locked. So I went around the front, and I remembered they started the senior disabled only shop hour. There's a crowd of younger people sitting outside waiting to be let in. Now I am 30 years old, I'm wearing my business suit and store vendor name tag, so the employee let me go straight in with no questions asked. I was also holding part of my display, so clearly going into work. I see a lady, and she, like most of those outside, looking a little annoyed. Suddenly I hear someone yell, "Hey, how come they get to go in and we don't?" I turn, and it was the lady, Karen. I think she just didn't see my name tag, so I turn around to face her so she can see it. And I say, "I work here." "No, you don't. You don't have a store badge," Karen yells. I pull my lanyard up to show her my name tag and say, "You're right. It's a vendor badge for this store." The employee also backs me up by telling her I do work at this store. Karen then proclaims that I have no right to be there since I don't look disabled and I'm clearly not over 65. I just, at that point, start to walk away, and she attempts to follow me in. The employee steps in her way and tells Karen to go back outside. She pushes him. I saw this out of the corner of my eye. So, to try to de-escalate the situation, I stop and say, "Ma'am, I have 2 things that allow me to be here during the shop early hour. One is my vendor badge, the other is my disability card." She yells, "I want to see the manager." The employee radio calls for the manager and politely asks her to wait for the manager outside, to which her response is, "No, I want to see the manager now. They aren't supposed to be here." By this time, Karen is making enough ruckus to get other waiting customers to defend us. She still waits inside. The manager comes over and asks me what the problem is. She tells him I am not supposed to be here, that I don't work for his store, and I am faking my disability, which he is aware of in case of emergencies at work. He explains to Karen that she is right and wrong. I don't work for his store, but I work at his store. I have every right to be there during the senior and disability only hour. He now asks her to get out of the store until the shop is open to the rest of the public. She refuses again and demands he has me removed. At this point, he now tells her that she can either leave willingly or have her removed by the police. He also tells me to go ahead and head to my station, since I am now 10 minutes to set up my display that usually takes me 30 minutes to set up. I do just that. About an hour later, I realise I forgot a cable in my car and need to go and get it. I go out and I see a police officer leaning over the passenger window of his cruiser. He is telling her that she can either leave quietly now or have her take her to jail. She sees me and is livid. Priceless. The officer took her to jail. She was charged with criminal trespass and disturbing the peace. Okay, moving on to our next story is Karen tells me I'm not the person she hired. This one's pretty interesting. So this is episode 1.3. Let's go. This happened a few years back when I was 13. I was the only person in my town that had taken the course to be a licensed babysitter. It's basic first aid. So naturally I get the most customers. One day, I was hired by the husband of the Karen. Let's call him Harry. So when I came to their house, I could instantly feel the tension. Apparently, Harry showed my photo to Karen. It was an older photo. I was 10 in the picture, so of course I looked different. Anyways, she started screaming at me for being a fraud. Keep in mind, I was only 13, and demanded I show her the text between her husband and I, so I happily go along with it. I didn't like fighting and still don't. When Karen saw it, she then thought I was her husband's mistress. Apparently he has been cheating. When I tell her my age, she doesn't believe me. I did look old for my age. I was 5'7" and generally looked older, but I can see why our text didn't talk about a kid or babysitting, just a time and a place. Anyways, I then leave their house to call my dad because I was scared and about to cry. When my dad gets there, Karen shuts up and is scared, as my dad is a big guy, 6'5" to be exact, and has a scary aura. My dad explained the situation to her, but she called the cops. I don't know why either. When the cops showed up, she plays the victim, like she didn't cause this. My dad took my side and so did the husband. The police quickly realised what happened and gave her a warning, but because Karen called her husband a child predator, an investigation had to be done. In conclusion, and to make a long story short, they are no longer together. Karen can only see her kids with a supervisor. I still babysit for him. She was allegedly abusive and tried to get her husband in jail more than once. In closing to this story, I need my dad's permission before I can babysit anyone now. Alrighty guys, that's it for now. Hopefully you enjoyed that, because I certainly did. We have more stories coming Monday, Wednesday and a Friday. So don't forget to hit that like, subscribe and the bell icon. Enjoy the rest of your day. See ya.